Alex's desk was overflowing with love letters again. He pulled out his phone and sent me $20 just like he always did. "Hey, do me a favor and toss these." I nodded quietly. That evening, I stood in the dim stairwell gathering the envelopes to throw into the recycling bin. Right at the bottom of the pile, my eyes caught a soft pink envelope. The signature belonged to the girl Alex secretly liked. I held the letter tightly, hesitating for a long time before tucking it into my bag instead of throwing it away. Sabrina had transferred to the school 2 weeks ago, placed in the class right next to ours. On her very first day, someone posted her photo on the student forum, and she effortlessly claimed the title of school beauty. Even a guy as proud and sought after as Alex could not help admiring her. "She's impressive," he had remarked once while glancing out the window. A few days ago, I heard his friends teasing him in the hallway. "You're so hard to get. What kind of girl actually catches your eye?" Alex leaned against the balcony railing, letting out a lazy, careless laugh. "Someone like Sabrina, I guess." He was far too proud to ever make the first move, even when he genuinely liked someone. And now Sabrina had written him a love letter. The next morning, I arrived at the classroom early. Alex was not there yet. We had been desk mates for 2 years. He was the one who had requested the seat arrangement. He liked that I was quiet, kept to myself, and never caused trouble. He also knew my family struggled financially. Once he realized that, he began asking me to handle small errands for him, using it as an excuse to hand me pocket money. Deep down, I always knew we belonged to entirely different worlds. He was born into privilege, effortlessly sparkling wherever he went. I was the dull stone sitting beside gold, destined never to shine. I waited a short while before Alex walked into the room. He did not look at me, heading straight to his seat and pulling out a practice test. My hand hovered inside my backpack. After a long internal struggle, I called his name softly. "Alex." The pen in his hand paused. He lifted his eyelids lazily. "Stuck on a math problem." I shook my head. "No." I pulled out the pink envelope and slid it across the desk. "I missed this one when I threw them out yesterday. Do you want to read it?" In the past, Alex would have shaken his head without a second thought and told me to trash it. This time, his eyes fell on the name written across the front. His eyebrows lifted in surprise. He took the envelope, a subtle, rare spark of joy surfacing in his eyes. "Thanks," he murmured. A couple of days later, I noticed a bright blue hair tie wrapped around Alex's wrist. Out of nowhere, he turned to me and asked, "What kind of gifts do girls actually like?" I froze, caught off guard. Before I could formulate an answer, a guy from the back row strolled over to our desks. "Dude, your desk mate is a total nerd. Asking her about romance is useless. You're better off asking me." Alex's brow furrowed, his voice instantly turning cold. "Mind your own business." I remained quiet for a moment before asking in a low voice, "Who are you buying it for?" He looked at me, pausing briefly before uttering a single word. "My girlfriend." In that split second, all the strength drained from my body. He and Sabrina were already together. I stared down at the frayed hem of my sweater sleeve, swallowing the lump in my throat. "I'm sorry, I didn't know." From that day on, I stopped initiating conversations with Alex. Guilt weighed heavily on my chest, telling me I had no right to stand so close to him anymore. Later that week, I hit a wall while working through a difficult geometry problem. Beside me, Alex spun his pen between his fingers and casually tilted his shoulder toward my desk. He was ready to explain the solution to me. It was an unspoken rhythm we had built over the past 2 years. He was always remarkably quick to spot my quiet moments of distress. Instead of sliding my paper over to him as I usually did, I turned around and whispered to the girl sitting behind me. "Do you mind helping me with this question?" Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Alex's body go rigid. A second later, he shoved his chair back and walked straight out of the classroom. That evening, rain poured heavily over the campus. When I reached the ground floor, I ran into Alex standing by the main entrance. He stared at me for a moment. "Want to walk together?" It would not have been the first time we shared an umbrella. I shook my head politely. "No thanks." I left my umbrella in the classroom. "I'll just go back up and grab it." Through the curtain of rain, Alex looked down at me, his voice heavy. Is that so? I watched you pack your bag today, he added coldly. I didn't see an umbrella in there. You missed it? I lied quietly. He tightened his grip on the umbrella handle, nodding with an indifferent expression. Right. Whatever you want. We did not speak a single word to each other for the next few days. The silence did not last long, however. One afternoon, as the final bell rang, I packed my books and stood up to leave, only to be blocked. Alex extended one long arm against the doorframe, effortlessly trapping me at my desk. I watched as the rest of the class trickled out until the room was completely empty. Only then did he lean down slightly, staring intently at my face. Willow. He rarely called me by my full name in such a serious tone. My heart skipped a beat. Did I do something wrong? His voice was quiet, almost dangerous. What made you so unhappy with me? Alex had done nothing wrong. In fact, he had always taken exceptional care of me. Whenever someone gossiped about me behind my back, he was the first to shut them down. Whenever someone else asked him for help at the same time I did, he always prioritized me. To put it simply, I had always been his exception in this classroom. A girl from another class had even pulled me aside once to whisper, "Willow, why is Alex so protective of you? Does he have feelings for you or something?" I had shaken my head instantly. No, not at all. She had smiled gently. You know, if you pulled your hair back and pinned your bangs up, you'd be really pretty. Why don't you try it? A guy like Alex only comes around once in a lifetime. Besides, you're right next to him. Don't you know what an advantage that is? I had stayed silent back then. Now, sitting under his intense gaze, I pressed my lips together. I'm not unhappy. I just have things to take care of, so I should go. Without waiting for his response, I ducked under his arm and walked out of the classroom without looking back. Halfway down the stairs, I remembered I had left an important review sheet under my desk. I had no choice but to turn back. When I reached the hallway, I saw Sabrina standing outside our door. She was tall, striking, and held an exquisitely wrapped gift box in her hands. I had seen that brand online before. Their cheapest items cost at least 5 figures. Thank you for the gift, she said. Her voice bright and sweet. Alex lowered his eyes. Glad you like it. Sabrina smiled, stepping a little closer. I told my dad I want to transfer into your class. Can I sit next to you? The faint moonlight spilled across the corridor. My heart hammered wildly against my ribs. Alex did not answer immediately. He knit his brow slightly as if weighed down by a troublesome thought. We'll see. Sabrina chuckled softly. What? Are you worried nobody will sit with your current desk mate? I heard she's a total recluse. I stood frozen in the shadows, not daring to stay and hear his answer. Turning on my heel, I hurried down the stairs as fast as my feet could carry me. 2 days later, Sabrina officially transferred into Class 1. Our homeroom teacher had left for an administrative meeting, so Sabrina stood alone at the podium to introduce herself. She spoke with effortless confidence, describing her background with poise. A few guys in the back row immediately started whistling and teasing. Hey, Alex. The school beauty came all the way here for you. You taking her out for dinner tonight? Yeah, man. Should we start calling her our sister-in-law now? Alex let out a quiet morning scoff. Keep it down. Don't freak her out. Just then, the homeroom teacher walked back in. He scanned the room before turning to Sabrina. There's an empty desk in the front row. How about you sit next to Wyatt? The entire classroom fell dead silent. Everyone in school knew about Wyatt. He was a wealthy, rebellious slacker who did not care about grades or rules. He spent his days causing trouble or sleeping face down on his desk. Nobody dared to mess with him, and nobody ever voluntarily sat next to him. Yet, he could be surprisingly unpredictable. A while back, after driving the teacher crazy, he was ordered to move his desk to the front row, and he had casually complied without a word of protest. A cool breeze swept through the window. I glanced at Alex beside me. He lifted his eyes, looking as though he was about to raise his hand and speak to the teacher. Before he could say a word, I stood up. Mr. Davis, I spoke up, my voice steady despite the racing pulse in my chest. I've been struggling to see the whiteboard clearly from here. Can I swap seats with Sabrina? I was usually the quietest student in the room. This was the very first time I had ever volunteered to speak in front of everyone. Rather than waiting for Alex to gently push me away for her sake, I preferred to take the initiative and step aside first. The teacher pondered for a moment. "All right, that works." At that exact moment, the pen in Alex's hand slipped, clattering loudly against the floor. He made no move to pick it up. Instead, he turned his head to look at me, his eyes dark, carrying an unmistakable trace of mockery. In a voice so low only the two of us could hear, he whispered, "You've been acting so weird lately. Is all of this really because of Wyatt?" Alex was normally distant, cold, and utterly indifferent to the world around him. He rarely showed strong emotions. It was the first time I had ever heard him speak to me in such a sharp, sarcastic tone. I stared at him for a brief second before answering quietly, "This has nothing to do with him. Thank you for everything you've done for me these past 2 years." Hearing those words, Alex let out a faint, cold laugh. He turned his head away and stopped looking at me. I packed my books and moved straight to the front row. Wyatt glanced up at me, lifting a lazy eyebrow with an amused expression. "Willow." I pressed my lips together, slightly startled. Wyatt almost never interacted with the girls in our class, nor did he add anyone on social media. I distinctly remembered a gorgeous girl asking him if she could watch him play basketball a few weeks ago. He had stared at her blankly for a long time before asking, "Sorry, who are you again?" Yet, he remembered my name. I gave a small nod. "Yeah." He withdrew his gaze without saying anything else. For the rest of the day, I forced myself not to glance back toward my old seat. But Alex and Sabrina were not sitting far from me. I could constantly hear her light, pleasant laughter, and even Alex seemed to talk far more than usual. I could not make out the details of their conversation, nor did I want to. When the final bell rang, I let out a long breath of relief. I gathered my things and headed downstairs. Halfway down the stairwell, someone slammed into my shoulder from behind. I lost my balance and tumbled forward, my forehead cracking hard against the iron railing. Pain shot through my head. I reached up to touch the spot, feeling warm, sticky blood on my fingers. I hissed softly from the stinging pain. The very next second, Sabrina's sweet voice drifted down from above. "You fell on your own. Don't you dare try to pin this on me." Her voice was melodious, but the words carried a sharp, nasty edge. I wiped the blood from my brow and looked up at her. "You pushed me." I held out my right hand, pronouncing every word clearly. "Pay for my medical bill." Sabrina froze, staring at me in utter disbelief. "Are you insane? You're actually trying to extort money from me?" I cupped my bleeding forehead and stood up, preparing to confront her, when a familiar, crisp voice echoed from the top of the stairs. "What's going on here?" Sabrina's expression shifted instantly. "I don't know," she said, her voice suddenly innocent. "I think she tripped." Alex stood at the top of the stairs, one hand still resting on the railing. His eyes dropped from Sabrina's innocent face to the blood running down my forehead. For 1 second, his expression changed. Then Sabrina took a step toward him, her eyes brimming with perfect timing. "I really don't know what happened." She slipped, then suddenly demanded money from me. I pressed my sleeve harder against my forehead. "Interesting. I fell, bled, and still somehow found time to become a criminal in your story." Sabrina froze. Alex looked between us. His gaze lingered on my blood, then on Sabrina's trembling lips. This was his first test. He reached into his pocket. "How much is the medical bill?" "I'll pay." The pain in my forehead suddenly felt dull compared to the sting in my chest. For 2 years, Alex had noticed every quiet frown, every unfinished problem, every time I stayed late because I did not want to go home too early and waste electricity. He had always acted like he understood me without asking. Now I was standing in front of him bleeding, and his first instinct was not to ask what happened. It was to pay. I looked at the wallet in his hand. "Put your wallet away, Alex." I asked the person who pushed me to pay, not the person who thinks I can be bought quiet. His fingers stopped. Sabrina's face twisted for a breath before she forced it back into her innocence. "Willow, why are you saying that?" "I didn't touch you." A lazy voice came from the lower landing. For someone who fell on her own, she had very helpful hands pushing her. Wyatt leaned against the wall with one hand in his pocket and his phone in the other. His tie was loose, his school jacket half open, and he looked like he had wandered into the stairwell only because boredom had failed him elsewhere. But his eyes were sharp. Sabrina went pale. Alex's gaze cut toward him. "What are you doing here?" "Watching the school beauty develop a hobby in staircase physics." Sabrina's lips trembled. "Wyatt, don't joke about this. Willow is hurt." "Strange. You sounded less concerned before Alex arrived." He lifted his phone. The recording was not perfect. It did not clearly show the shove, but it caught Sabrina standing above me, her voice sharp and cold. "You fell on your own. Don't you dare try to pin this on me." Then it showed my bleeding forehead before Alex appeared. Wyatt tilted the screen towards Sabrina. "Not a full movie, more like a trailer for your expulsion." Despite the blood and pain, I almost laughed. Alex stared at the video. Something dark moved through his eyes. Sabrina began crying harder. I was scared. She immediately accused me. "You were scared after she hit the railing." Wyatt looked down the stairs. Impressive reaction speed. Alex stepped toward me. "Willow, let's go to the infirmary first." "No." He stopped. "I'll go, but not with you." His face stiffened. I walked past him slowly, one hand still against my forehead. Wyatt moved beside me, not touching me, not grabbing my bag, not acting like I was made of glass, just walking. That somehow made it easier to breathe. At the infirmary, the nurse gasped when she saw the blood and immediately sat me down. She cleaned the cut, took photos for the injury record, and wrote a medical note. Wyatt gave a witness statement. I asked for an incident report. I also asked the school to preserve the stairwell camera footage before anyone had time to lose it. The nurse looked surprised. "You want to file this formally?" "Yes." Alex stood near the door, quiet and tense. Sabrina had followed him, still sniffling. "Willow, I was only trying to help." I looked at him in the mirror as the nurse placed a strip over my cut. "No, you were trying to pay." "That is not the same thing." His face changed. Wyatt leaned against the cabinet, arms crossed. "I can help you, but I won't rescue you like a princess. You look more like the type who hides knives in her pencil case. It's a geometry compass." Same energy. For the first time all afternoon, my mouth curved. Sabrina saw it. Her expression darkened before she hid it again. By evening, the school forum had exploded. Someone posted a long thread titled, "Poor desk mate gets jealous after school beauty takes her seat." The post claimed I had been obsessed with Alex for years. It said, I kept Sabrina's love letter and only gave it to Alex after realizing I could not stop them. It said, I moved next to Wyatt to make Alex jealous. It said I tripped on the stairs on purpose, then tried to extort medical fees from Sabrina. There were photos of me sitting beside Alex from old class events. Photos of Sabrina and Alex standing together. A blurry picture of Wyatt walking with me to the infirmary. The comments came fast. "So, she liked Alex all along. No wonder she moved seats. Drama queen. She's poor, right? Maybe she really wanted money. Wyatt got dragged into this too. That's ambitious." I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I turned it off. Wyatt looked over from the front desk. "You're not replying because cockroaches come out faster when the kitchen is quiet." He blinked. That was unsettling. Good. I'm evolving. The next morning, people stared when I entered the classroom. Some whispered. Some looked away. Some watched my forehead with open curiosity, as if blood could explain gossip better than words. Sabrina sat beside Alex, pale and delicate. Her eyes were red, but her hair looked perfect. That was talent. Alex looked up when I walked in. His gaze caught on the bandage. I walked straight to my new seat. Wyatt had already cleared half the desk for me. There was a carton of milk and a bread roll sitting on my side. I paused. He did not look up from his phone. The nurse said, "You skipped lunch yesterday." "I didn't ask you to buy food." "I know. That's why I didn't call it charity." I sat down. After class, Alex blocked me near the corridor. "You should have told me you were upset." I did. I moved seats. His jaw tightened. "Is this because of Wyatt?" "No. Wyatt was just the first person who looked at my blood before reaching for his wallet. He looked hurt. Good. You're being cruel. No, I'm being clear. You're just not used to hearing me without a discount. He fell silent. For 2 years, I had been quiet beside him. Quiet when he paid me $20 to throw away love letters. Quiet when people called me his shadow. Quiet when I realized the girl he liked had written to him. And still gave him the letter. My silence had made everyone comfortable. I was done being furniture. Wyatt and I spent the next 2 days gathering proof. His family had influence, but he did not wave it around like a weapon. He used it like a lockpick. He got the school to preserve the stairwell camera footage before Sabrina's father could make it disappear. The camera angle did not catch the full shove, but the glass trophy case across from the landing did. In the reflection, Sabrina's arm moved forward right before my body pitched down the stairs. Wyatt also found the fake forum accounts. How? He glanced at me lazily. Rich kids are careless. They think money encrypts stupidity. Screenshots link the accounts to Sabrina's device login. Her private group chat was worse. Alex's little errand girl moved herself away. She acts pitiful, but everyone knows she wanted him. Once I sit with Alex, she'll understand her place. If she keeps making trouble, I'll make sure people know she hid my letter first. My fingers tightened around the phone. Wyatt watched me. You okay? No. Good answer. I looked up. He shrugged. People always say they're fine when they're about to commit academic murder. Honesty is healthier. I almost smiled. He tapped the folder. Your revenge plan is very organized for someone with a head injury. I bleed alphabetically. I don't know what that means, but I support women in STEM. The evidence kept coming. The nurse report. The injury photos. Wyatt's partial video. The trophy case reflection, the forum accounts, the private group chat, screenshots of Alex's old payment messages asking me to throw away letters, and the pink envelope. I had kept it, not because I wanted to remember the pain, but because some proof looked soft until the room needed to see its teeth. On the 3rd afternoon, Sabrina's father came to school. He wore an expensive suit and an expression that treated everyone as furniture. Mr. Davis called me to the office. Wyatt appeared beside me before I even asked. Sabrina's father looked at him, then at me. Willow, isn't it? My daughter has a reputation. A poor student like you should be careful before making accusations. Your daughter had a reputation. Past tense is important. His mouth tightened. He slid an envelope across the table. Medical fees, more than enough. Take it and stop making trouble. I did not touch it. Keep your money. I asked for a medical bill, not hush money with perfume. His eyes cooled. Scholarships can be delicate. So can recommendations. Wyatt's phone lay face down on his knee. Recording. I leaned forward. Threats work better when the victim still wants your approval. Mr. Davis looked uncomfortable. Sabrina's father looked furious. Wyatt finally spoke. My family sits on the parent committee. The man's expression shifted. Wyatt smiled without warmth. Please continue. I love watching adults discover microphones. The envelope went back into Sabrina's father's pocket. That night, the school announced a disciplinary hearing in the auditorium. Teachers, parents, student representatives, the involved students, and administration would be present. The forum scandal had gone too far to bury. Sabrina entered the auditorium like a wounded fairy. Alex sat beside her. Wyatt sat beside me. I looked at the seating arrangement and almost laughed. Alex sat beside the girl who pushed me. Wyatt sat beside the girl who bled. Sometimes a seating chart explains a whole relationship. Sabrina began first. She cried beautifully. I never pushed her. She hates me because Alex chose me. She kept my letter because she was obsessed with him. She demanded money on the stairs. Then she started using Wyatt to make Alex jealous. Murmurs spread. I waited. The longer she spoke, the deeper she dug. Finally, when she paused to wipe her tears, I lifted my head. Are you finished? Or should I wait until you accuse me of pushing myself for cardio? Wyatt coughed into his sleeve. The principal frowned, but several students nearly choked. Sabrina's tears shook harder. You're mocking me. No, I'm letting you finish lying. It saves time. I opened the folder. If I wanted Alex that badly, Sabrina, I would have kept your love letter in the trash where he asked me to put it. Alex went still. The entire auditorium quieted. I pulled out the soft pink envelope, his eyes locked onto it. For 2 years, Alex paid me to throw away the letters left on his desk. Yours was at the bottom of the pile. I saw your name. I could have thrown it away. I could have pretended I never noticed. Instead, I gave it to him. Sabrina's face strained. Alex looked at me like he had never seen me before. You called me jealous. That's cute. I delivered your love story like unpaid mail service and still got pushed down the stairs. No one spoke. Then Wyatt placed the first file onto the projector. The nurse report. My injury photos. Wyatt's video. Sabrina's voice from the stairwell filled the auditorium. You fell on your own. Don't you dare try to pin this on me? Then the trophy case reflection appeared. Sabrina behind me. Her arm moving. My body falling. A wave of sound moved through the room. Sabrina stood. That angle is misleading. The next slide appeared. Forum accounts linked to her device. Then the private chat. Alex's little errand girl. She'll understand her place. If she keeps making trouble, I'll make sure people know she hid my letter first. Sabrina's mask cracked. The audience shifted. People who had whispered about me yesterday now whispered about her. I looked at Sabrina. I brought receipts. Not because I'm petty. Because pretty lies die slower without paperwork. Wyatt murmured. She is very organized when concussed. You are one comment away from becoming evidence, too. He shut up, but his eyes were laughing. The principal read the next document silently, his face darkened. Sabrina, is this your father attempting to pressure the school? Her father stood. This is being taken out of context. I turned toward him. Your money tried to enter the room before the truth. It can leave the same way. A few parents gasped. Wyatt's family representative seated near the side stood calmly. The parent committee will be requesting a review of donor influence in disciplinary matters. Sabrina's father sat back down. For the first time, he looked smaller. Sabrina began to panic. It was an accident. I didn't mean to fall. So now you touched me. I just moved past you with both hands. She was blocking the stairs. I tilted my head. So I was blocking your future too. Her face twisted. Finally, the truth showed through. She was just his poor desk mate. Everyone knew Alex only helped her because he pitied her. The auditorium went silent. Alex's face turned pale. I looked at Sabrina for a long moment. Then why were you so scared of my seat? Her mouth opened. No answer. Because there was none. If I was only pitiful, why push me away? If I was nothing, why build an entire lie around me? If Alex never looked at me, why did she need me bleeding on the stairs? Sabrina suddenly lunged for the folder on the table. I caught her wrist and pushed her hand away. Controlled. Come in front of everyone. Careful. The first time you pushed me, I bled. The second time you'll embarrass yourself. She collapsed back into her seat, sobbing. It was just one push. Then enjoy one consequence. And another and another. They travel in groups. The decision did not come quietly. The school suspended Sabrina pending transfer. Her disciplinary record included physical assault, defamation, harassment, and falsified forum posts. Her class representative application was withdrawn. Her recommendation letter was canceled. A formal assault report was filed for the stairwell incident, and her family had to pay my medical bills and damages. The principal posted an official correction on the school forum. Sabrina's father lost his donor influence overnight. The parent committee opened a review. The administration announced that no donation would affect student safety cases again. The old bullying case from Sabrina's previous school resurfaced too. Another girl, another rumor, another transfer. This time the story did not disappear. Sabrina's school beauty title became a joke by dinner. Beauty pushes from behind. Pretty lies with paperwork. The crown fell faster than she did. Alex lost something, too. Not a record. Not a scholarship. Not the kind of punishment adults could write down. He lost his place in my life. And everyone saw it happen. Students whispered that he had wanted a school beauty girlfriend and a quiet, emotional support desk mate. Someone posted, Alex collected girlfriends like test papers. One for display, one for comfort. He deleted his account that night. The next day, he found me outside the library. His face looked tired. Why didn't you tell me you kept Sabrina's letter for me? Because I didn't want gratitude. I wanted honesty. You were out of stock. He swallowed. I thought you were mad because of Wyatt. No, Wyatt was just the first person who looked at my blood before reaching for his wallet. I was trying to help. You were trying to make the problem affordable. His eyes reddened. You know, you were all I had loved quietly for 2 years. Maybe he had cared. Maybe I really had been his exception. But an exception was still not a choice. I was your exception for 2 years. Then Sabrina arrived and I became furniture with feelings. I don't sit beside people who only notice me when I move. He flinched. Come back to our seat. I almost laughed. Our seat, as if desks kept promises. Keep it. It suits Sabrina's perfume and your confusion. I walked past him. This time he did not stop me. After that, Wyatt became part of my days in ways I did not know how to name at first. He did not hover. He did not act like saving me once gave him rights. He sat beside me, slept through boring lectures, woke up whenever I got stuck, and slid his notebook over without making a show of it. You're terrifying when polite. You should see me after homework. Academic violence. I respect it. When it rained, he opened his umbrella but held it loosely between us. Not over me like a cage. Not away from me like a test. Just between us. I started tying back my hair. Not because that girl once told me I would look pretty for Alex. Not because Sabrina had made me feel small. Not because Wyatt looked at me with lazy interest whenever I pinned my bangs up. I did it because I was tired of hiding behind them. The first day I answered a question in class, the room went quiet. Mr. Davis looked pleasantly shocked. Wyatt leaned back and whispered, "Should I clap?" No, too late spiritually. I started joining competitions I had always been too nervous to attempt. Regional math challenge, debate selection, scholarship interview practice. Wyatt pushed the registration form toward me one afternoon. You should enter. I might lose. So that is your whole motivational speech. Yes. Very efficient. I entered. I studied until my eyes burned. Wyatt helped by sitting across from me with snacks, terrible handwriting, and the attention span of a cat near sunlight. But when I practiced speeches, he listened. When I solved problems, he checked them. When I doubted myself, he looked bored in the most useful way. You're acting like the trophy has teeth. It might then bite back. At the regional academic competition, I placed second overall and first in written analysis. When my name appeared on the school board, people stared. The same students who once called me Alex's quiet desk mate now whispered my name differently. Willow is actually amazing. Was she always this good? Why did nobody notice? I stood in front of the board looking at my score. I was never background. I was just under bad lighting. Wyatt stood beside me. Want me to adjust the spotlight? No. I'll burn my own. He smiled. Not like Alex. Not with lazy ownership. Not like I was something he had discovered late and wanted back. Wyatt smiled like he had expected me to shine all along and was only amused everyone else needed proof. Sabrina's final appearance came the week before her transfer. She waited near the side gate. No crowd around her. No bright laughter. No blue hair tie on Alex's wrist. Just a girl with red eyes and a ruined crown. I already lost everything. Isn't that enough? No, that is just your life without my silence holding it together. She clenched her fists. I said I was sorry. Apologies are not erasers. They're receipts showing you finally noticed the bill. I only did it because I was scared of me. She looked away. You had Alex. You had attention. You had the whole school calling you beautiful. And still one quiet girl moving seats scared you enough to push her down the stairs. Her tears fell. I felt nothing soft enough to be forgiveness. That's the difference between us, Sabrina. I stepped aside when I thought you made him happy. You tried to break me because I stopped making you comfortable. Her lips trembled. I left her there. Alex's last scene came on a rainy afternoon. He was sitting alone at our old desk, the one beside the window. Sabrina's things were gone. The blue hair tie no longer circled his wrist. The seat beside him was empty. I went back to collect a workbook from Mr. Davis. Alex looked up. For a second, the classroom felt like it used to. 2 desks, window light, his pen spinning between his fingers. My quiet, foolish heart waiting for scraps. Then Wyatt's laugh echoed faintly from the hallway. The spell broke. I miss sitting beside you. I don't. The view improved. Pain crossed his face. Did I ever have a chance? Yes. You spent it making sure I knew I was replaceable. He had no answer. That was his punishment. Not losing Sabrina. Not being mocked online. Not the whispers that followed him after the hearing. It was this. Watching me become someone bright enough to leave and knowing he had taught me how. Graduation came with heavy rain. The same kind of rain that once made Alex ask if I wanted to walk together. Back then, I lied about an umbrella to avoid sharing his. This time, Wyatt found me at the entrance and opened his. You can hold it if you want. I'm not great at sharing control. That's the first honest thing a rich boy has said to me. I'm full of flaws. Very collectible. I took the handle. Our fingers brushed. Neither of us moved away immediately. He looked at me through the rain. You know, you never needed someone to make you shine. I know, but dramatic lighting helps. We walked together beneath the umbrella, shoulder to shoulder, not too close, not too far, just right. 1 year later, I was at a good university with a scholarship I earned myself. My hair was usually tied back now. My bangs no longer hid my face. I spoke in class. I joined competitions. I stopped shrinking whenever wealthy classmates entered the room like their surnames needed extra space. Wyatt attended a university nearby and still appeared whenever it rained, holding an umbrella like a peace treaty. We were together, not because he saved me, because he never tried to own the rescue. Sabrina transferred after the scandal and never recovered her school beauty image. Her father's influence over the school broke with the parent committee review. The bullying reporting rules changed. Her name stayed attached to screenshots, reflection footage, and one very expensive medical bill. Alex and Sabrina broke apart before she left. He became quieter after that. Sometimes I heard from old classmates that he still sat by the window and never changed seats. Good for him. Some people needed an empty chair to understand what they lost. I did not forgive Sabrina. I did not return to Alex. And I never again accepted pity money disguised as kindness. For 2 years, I sat beside Alex and mistook borrowed warmth for belonging. I carried his love letters, solved his silences, and thought being his exception meant I mattered. Then Sabrina pushed me down the stairs. Alex reached for his wallet instead of the truth. And Wyatt, the boy everyone called Trouble, became the first person to stand beside me without trying to own the seat. Sabrina lost the crown she stole with a smile. Alex lost the quiet girl he thought would never leave. And I finally learned I was never the dull stone beside gold. I was the blade he only noticed after I stopped lying flat.